Hi, I'm Brendan, and we're here in Orlando at the moment, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to Todd Baldwin. He's the certified public accountant who helped us set up our company and then get US tax numbers and everything registered so that we could buy our first property here. And so when I first called you on the phone, I had thousands and thousands of questions, and I'm sure I annoyed you initially, but you really helped us a lot, and I thank you for that. And I thought I'd take this opportunity just to touch on a few of the major questions that I had for the benefit of any potential investors back in South Africa.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Sure, I'll be happy to help you.
Cool. So basically, let's start with what experience have you had with foreigners investing here in Florida and in the United States?
I've actually had quite a bit of experience. About 40% of our business is international related. And currently there are a lot of people coming to buy real estate in Orlando, rental properties. So we have extensive experience of doing the tax returns and handling all the tax situations for them.
Oh, that's great. So you've managed to help a lot of other people as well. That's
absolutely.
Brilliant. So how can they buy properties here? Let's touch on a few of those points.
Okay. Well, they basically have two ways that they can do it. They can set up an LLC, which will hold the properties, or they can buy them individually.
Okay, so an LLC, just so that everybody knows, is a limited liability company.
Correct,
okay.
Yeah. And it's basically a shell, and without getting into the tax implications, there's a lot of ways that LLCs can be handled. And that's where you need a professional to guide you along those directions.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So who should you trust, in buying these properties?
Okay, well, you need to hire a team of professionals around you. For one, you need a good CPA, certified public accountant, and make sure they're registered as a certified public accountant. I don't recommend that you use just a normal accountant or something like that. Make sure they're a CPA. You also need a good attorney to do the closings on the property. You want to make sure you have a good attorney that's going to make sure that the title of the property is passed appropriately. And then the last thing you need is probably a good real estate agent who's going to take you around to show you all the properties.
Yeah, that's great, yeah. Okay, and how long does it take to set up the LLC and get tax numbers and all that type of thing, on average?
It can take about a week. If we did it, it would take about a week. You can do it yourself. Although I recommend, if you don't have experience in doing that area, that you don't try to do it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of pitfalls and legalities to take into account. So I think it's a good thing to use professionals that are based here that know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you need to physically be here in the USA to be able to buy properties? I mean, we came across, but what's your opinion on it?
You don't have to be, but I strongly recommend that if you're going to be buying properties here, that you come and see what you're buying.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, we went to quite a few seminars and stuff there in the UK, and we couldn't really believe the numbers that they were putting up on the boards. And the only way I could really understand it was to physically come here and look at the properties and see for myself. Mm-hmm. And it's been quite an eye-opening experience.
Absolutely, that's great.
So, you've already covered this particular question, yeah. Can I set up an LLC myself? You mentioned earlier that you can.
Yes.
There's a few pitfalls related to that, so
yeah.
we'll try and steer clear of that.
Absolutely.
Now, what are the tax implications of buying a property here in the USA?
Okay. Well, first of all, if you buy a property here, you're going to eventually at some point have to get a individual tax ID number, and once you do that, you can open a bank account and fund the properties. The issues is you have to pay income tax on the profit that you make from these rental properties. So basically you pay your rent, or you receive the rent for the properties, and then you pay all the expenses, repairs, property taxes, insurance, homeowners fees. After all that is paid, you'll be left with a profit. You pay the taxes on that profit. And it depends on how much money you make as to what the tax rate is.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, what would be the minimum tax rate on the profit?
Well, the minimum, there's exemptions, so there's a chance that you could pay zero taxes here on it. So the minimum is 0, the maximum is 35%.
Oh, that's great, and you'll help us manage that.
Absolutely.
If we do come on board with you, we're already on board with you, but if anybody else is interested, you'll be able to help with that.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. And then, are there any other issues that may affect a non-resident when they're buying properties here?
Yeah, there are. The one issue is that if they run through a property management company that is familiar with non-residents, there will be a 30% withholding on the rent of tax. Now, this is a withholding, which means the government takes it, but it doesn't belong to the government until you file a tax return. And if you don't owe any taxes, you get all that money back. The other implication is when you go to sell a property in the United States, if you're not a resident, the IRS wants to make sure that you don't leave without paying your taxes. So there's a 10% withholding on the sales price of the house. So if you sell a house for $100,000, they'll withhold 10%, which will be $10,000. And again, that goes to the government, and they hold that until you file a tax return and get it back. If you use our services, we can, ahead of time, we can possibly prevent or reduce that withholding amount, but you have to get us engaged before you sell the property.
Okay, so basically we've got to notify you if we intend to sell, and then you can work your magic.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
That's it.
Well, that's pretty much touched on the major issues. I thank you, very much for your time and for all the help that you've done for both myself and for Linda. And,
sure.
It's been great meeting you.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.